is Brian Anderson. You've seen him. You'll love him. Brian, thanks for being on the program, man.
It's great to be with you guys, man. The big question for Spence is, did he sleep and wake up, or has he just been rolling all night? That's the question.
I've been rolling, Brian. All good, man. It's party time in Vegas.
You know us BYU folks in Vegas, Brian.
It's got an NCAA tournament feel to it. That's what I love about this event, and this is our first year doing it. Yeah. So it's got a cool vibe. I got to be honest. Like, we're pretty pumped. We were at practices yesterday, and at TNT, you know, we lost the NBA, sadly, but our bosses immediately turned that into, well, what's the next best thing we could try to go get? And we went after college basketball. So we got rights to the Big 12 and the Big East, and we're doing these tournaments. We got Players Era in a couple of weeks here in Vegas, and this Hall of Fame series that starts today. So we're all pretty pumped to be here.
This doubleheader is going to be awesome tonight. Florida, of course, the national champs against Arizona, Big 12 team. BYU plays them twice. Bryce James, that whole thing. And then, of course, BYU Villanova. So what do you imagine it's going to be like tonight with that doubleheader?
Yeah, I think it's the best game on the schedule today, with all the great games with Arizona and Florida. Obviously, Florida's the defending national champions, and I know Bryce James does garner a lot of headlines, but lower expectations. I don't think he's going to play that much. He could work himself into a role, but they're very good, Arizona. It's going to be tough for Bryce James to crack that rotation in his freshman year. It doesn't mean LeBron won't be supporting the Cats, but I think, you know, Arizona's got a chance to win the Big 12. Obviously, they're in that elite group with you guys, and obviously Kansas is going to be better as well. But Houston's still the class of the Big 12. You know, so I do think Arizona is going to be formidable in the Big 12. They have so many great teams in that conference, and now BYU is part of that story with Houston and Iowa State and Texas Tech and Baylor and Kansas and all these great teams in the Big 12. And it's really interesting to me to see how this is going to unfold this year, especially with you guys. I cannot wait to watch Dybantsa play. You know, I met him last year. We had you guys, my crew, had you guys in New Jersey at the Sweet 16. So we did spend some time with BYU, and AJ was there for those games. And, you know, we had a chance to visit a little bit, but very interested to see how this plays out.
Brian, I just need to know, do you expect to see 25 made three-pointers from BYU or Villanova tonight, let alone combined from the teams, because that was out of control in the Sweet 16?
Right. And, you know, I think there is a philosophy of do we guard the three-point line? And knowing Kevin like I do, you know, there is this idea in the NBA, how do you can they keep up that kind of shooting for an entire game? Like, that's always the discussion when you're dealing with NBA coaches and analytics and models. And the answer was yes. Apparently last year, the shooting was unbelievable, what we saw. But, you know, I would say no to start the season. I think that's probably, the rims are going to be really tight here today. It's the beginning of a new season. You have a bunch of new teammates. The lights are bright. You know, Grant Hill's sitting over there on TNT with me. So it's, you know, it's going to feel bigger. Not that these guys aren't prepared for that, but I do think there's going to be a little bit of tension early in the game. And so I would say where that typically shows up is lack of made shots, so I would say there's going to be a lot of fast break opportunities early. We may see some run and gun style, because certainly Villanova is not equipped to do that right now. They've got some pieces out, but BYU certainly is.
Let's talk about those Wildcats. A bunch of injuries, as you mentioned. Kevin Willard comes over from Maryland after the Sweet 16, and Villanova's hoping to be better, but like you mentioned, they're pretty banged up right now.
Yeah, good news. We were at practice yesterday, so good news for them. They are going to have Devin Askew back. So that was really the major concern. Zion Stanford is another guy that they're not going to have back. He's not even with the team. So those are just two names that, at least from our perspective, you know, trying to cover the team and figure out what kind of personnel were high on the list. But Askew's back. So Askew, is probably their best player. He's probably going to be, at least early for sure, going to be their best player and their best scorer. He's a guy that transferred from Long Beach State. This is actually his 5th university in 5 years. So he's he's the king of the portal, man. But he got a degree from Cal. He's a very intelligent player, not like a world-class athlete, but man, he can really play and score. He had a knee injury, so he's been practicing all week. I think that's probably the #1 headline for Villanova. Kevin Willard is there. Kevin Willard left Maryland in the Big Ten to go back to the Big East. He was a longtime coach, 12 years at Seton Hall, did a really good job there, bounced up to the Big Ten with Maryland. They were in the Sweet 16 last year. He's brought 3 guys and 1 recruit with him that are now at Villanova before they even went to Maryland, at least 1 recruit and 3 other players. So I think they're going to be formidable. They've got a really good point guard, Caden Lewis. He was like a top 30 player. And so BYU will have their hands full with him. He's a freshman. So AJ Dybantsa is not the only, talented freshman, but this Rob Wright, a Caden Lewis matchup at the point guard position is really going to be interesting. So I know I'm throwing a lot of names at you guys early, but it's early in the season. But these are the kind of things that we'll see how it shakes out as the season goes. But right now, I love the point guard matchup we're going to have in our game tonight.
Brian, bring all the names because, as you mentioned, I'm on like maybe 3 or 4 hours of sleep, so I'm in prime condition. Also, Portal King feels like an appropriate title for someone who's going to be playing in Vegas, but that's a sidebar conversation perhaps. I do want to ask your opinion on what you've seen from AJ Dybantsa. What jumps off the screen most when you watch and prepare to call his game?
Well, I watched you guys broadcast, and kudos to you guys, by the way. I thought you guys did a great job. Jerem was excellent on the sideline, and you guys went deep from those exhibition games, and really enjoyed that from a production standpoint. So let me say that. And, I think Dybantsa, to me, I had been told, and we talked to Tommy Lloyd yesterday. So Tommy Lloyd, obviously the head coach of Arizona, he was the U19 Team USA coach. He had Dybantsa. Dybantsa was the MVP this summer, and they won gold. And Tommy Lloyd has one of his players, Koa Pete, that's with Arizona, that's on his current team. But those 2 guys really jumped off the page for him. And what Tommy Lloyd said about Dybantsa is kind of what Grant Hill and I were talking about as we were going through practices yesterday and having watched some video. But he does something pretty regularly that kind of drops your jaw. And it's got an NBA look to it, definitely an NBA body. I mean, Kevin Willard even threw out the idea that he's as good for him, and he recruited LeBron James. He's not saying he's LeBron James, but from the high school level player to college, he feels like it's the most impressive player he's seen since LeBron James. And that's like, Kevin Willard is the son of a coach. He's been around a long time. If you know Kevin Willard and you get through all the F-bombs, you know that he's not a guy that's throwing out a lot of praise, if you know what I mean. So I was kind of shocked when he said that, and I was like, man. But I think that's the idea, that the ISO game that Kevin has in place for him is really good. But Tommy Lloyd probably put it best, so I'll just keep quoting him. Even in the Team USA setting, he was very willing to not only share the ball, but also if teammates were having good games, great moments, he recognized the game and was feeding those guys. So he didn't need to have the spotlight. He didn't need to have the ball in his hands, but he's very comfortable with it. Very much a team player, coachable. You guys have already gotten to know him, and I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but I think those are the kind of things that probably impressed me more than his actual talent, because in college basketball, especially in the NIL era that we're in, sometimes these players can use universities as just a pass through to the NBA, and you may not, like we saw it with Rutgers last year, and you may not get the kind of production, team-oriented, unselfish play because guys are still in AAU mode trying to get paid. And from all accounts, AJ Dybantsa has none of that in him, which is really refreshing to hear.
BYU and Villanova coming up tonight on TNT, True TV, HBO Max, as mentioned with Brian Anderson on BYU Sports Nation. What's BYU's ceiling this year? Because it is quite possibly and realistically is the most anticipated season in BYU men's basketball history.
Yeah, I think national championship is the ceiling. I mean, who knows how it's going to come together, but I don't think you should go into a season with this kind of talent without thinking you could win a national championship. Obviously, you can't skip steps and look ahead, and it's probably really important for Kevin Young. I have not seen Kevin this year, so we're about to head over and watch shoot around and talk to him. But I'm guessing, you know, his goal is going to try to get better every day and try to stack up these days to improve, because there is a lot to learn. There are freshmen. Rob Wright is such a major piece to all this too. He's such a great point guard, and you know, you've got all this experience in Richie Saunders, and so these guys are in place for, you know, a guy like Dybantsa to shine, but also the ball's going to be moving. So I think the expectation should be a national championship. My biggest challenge, I would say, I'm not an analyst, but what I see and kind of what I'm hearing is, can BYU sustain this very fast-paced, quick-tempoed, ball movement offense and be efficient? Can they maintain that through the entire 40? Because it's hard to do that. What we've seen, at least in the game that I watched with you guys covered, that pace dropped significantly after the first 10 minutes or so. And I just thought, you know, I haven't seen enough of the bench rotations to see how that's going to develop. But, you know, Rob Wright, he shot out of a cannon in those first 6 to 8 minutes. So what happens then when the substitution patterns come? How does the offense change? How does it change their flow? Because I know Kevin wants to play fast. And that's one thing in the NBA. You've got talent rolling and shot making coming in waves in the NBA. Obviously, at the college level, you're not that efficient at that level. So we'll see. That's the big question for me. But I think a national championship should be the expectation for sure.
Brian, I know you're a true Renaissance man, especially in the broadcast world. You do an incredible job calling games for the Milwaukee Brewers, Major League Baseball playoffs. Obviously, you have a heavy influence in professional and college basketball. For BYU fans, this week is, in a word, massive. And on the football side, they're going to be in Lubbock for Texas Tech. They're ranked number 8. The basketball team with AJ Dybantsa and company tip-off. From your vantage point, what is the perception of BYU athletics as a whole at this point in time?
Yeah, that's you know, I'm not a big football guy, so I didn't even know that. But I know BYU is good, and I know they're like, I think the theme around the country, at least even from our perspective, you know, our executives, as we try to pick games, because we do have Big 12 games this year, we signed up for all the BYU games, and you know, we didn't get them all. We didn't get all that we wanted because we have 4 other networks to negotiate with in this package in the Big 12 this year as far as basketball is concerned. But, you know, it's out there. Like, BYU has arrived. They're obviously in a power conference. They're a major player, and I don't see that stopping. It's such a great place to play. I'm looking forward to getting out there. I've got a couple of games in Provo this year, and we're all excited to go experience that and see that. So it's arrived, and I think they're doing it the right way. And NIL's kind of created an opportunity for BYU to make it a place that can thrive at the highest levels in all sports, and we're kind of seeing that right now. So kudos to you guys for. I'm not saying you're the Los Angeles Dodgers of college baseball, but you know, the money's flowing pretty quick, and you guys are not afraid to spend it, and that's good for us. We love that. You know, we've been dealing in the pro sports world forever at TNT, so we're all about it, man. Like, we want to see talent on the floor, and you've assembled great talent, basketball, obviously, in football. So you guys have arrived, man. Congratulations.
No word on if AJ Dybantsa has deferred any of the NIL money, but we will bring that to you later if we find that out. Brian, we appreciate the time. Have a great doubleheader call tonight coming up on TNT. Of course, Florida, Arizona, BYU, Villanova. Thanks for the time.
Yeah, man. Always good to be with you guys. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.